This is when the tilt is real.
Welcome to another episode of the Tilt is Real Fantasy Podcast. Coming to you live from the chef's table, here are your hosts, James Crease and Juan Pena. Let's go.
Welcome in. It is Monday, December 28th, and this is the Tilt is Real Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, James Crease, hashtag the FF Chef, or AKA. Yeah, not AKA. AKA. Dope. I'm already starting off messed up, off the rails. Maybe Juan can help me out. Juan, how are you today, sir? Welcome back.
Thank you, Chef. I feel fantastic. It is Monday championship week. We have a lot of guys that are going to be in our chat tonight that are going to tell us whether or not they won or lost, and we're going to celebrate. And yeah, it's a great time to be alive. It's fantasy weekend, fantasy championship weekend, Chef.
And Mr. Swanson, are you a part of those championship festivities?
Yes, I am. So I'm in 1.5 championships ish right now. Pretty sure the half one is sealed up. Excuse me. Mr. Swanson having a rough voice. My other league, as I've mentioned before on the show, is a Week 17 championship. So I am absolutely winning this week on the heels of Alvin Kamara. Thank you very much. And next week, I'm looking at my team right now, and I think, because the thing about Week 17 is you're worried about teams that have clinched a bye, teams that have nothing to play for, like et cetera. Like they're not going to be the same guys as they would normally be in the regular season. Fortunately for me, I don't have any Kansas City Chiefs, which is great. I have Alvin Kamara, I have Jeff Wilson, I have Aaron Jones. These are guys that are still going to play in Week 17 and still should have some value. So I don't know. I'm hopeful.
You should be, Mr. Swanson. You should be.
I'm hopeful, man. I really want this.
You don't really have too many Chiefs, and you're going up against somebody that has some Chiefs. That might be a good way to get a victory in Week 17. Because
I also have George Kittle.
Oh, that's a helpful. Yeah, you said you had added him in late off of waivers. Matter of fact,
11 points this week for me. Yeah, great.
And the thing I was getting at with the Chiefs is obviously they won the first matchup that we're going to be talking about here up against the Falcons.
Yep.
But Andy Reid came out today and said that he's most likely, since they've clinched the playoff bye, they're going to be sitting their vets, and that's going to disturb a lot of fantasy players to the fact where this is why most of us don't even play in Week 17.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea.
Sorry, Juan, I just looked it up. So he does have Travis Kelce. So I might get a break there. We'll see.
That would be a big break.
What
were you saying,
man?
Yeah, that's the idea, and that's the reason that we don't do Week 17 in most of our leagues, and we try to avoid it because once teams have clinched and there's nothing to play for, like Travis Kelce was a little banged up in that game against the Falcons, so the likelihood of him sitting out is high for this week. Tyreek Hill came into that game with a hamstring. Maybe he doesn't play. So it's tough. I don't want to play Week 17. I'm glad that our leagues don't have Week 17.
It's going to be interesting, and going into next year, the 2021 fantasy season, there's going to be 17 regular games per NFL team per the new CBA. So that's something interesting that I was listening to today, and I was like, wow, that's right. So Week 17, those guys might have a little bit more to play for, but I'm still sticking with the standard 16-week playoff run.
Yeah.
So let's get back into the Chiefs, like we were talking about. The Chiefs beat the Falcons 17-14. And my biggest takeaway from this game is that although they lost, the Falcons' D looked really good. They only allowed 76 rushing yards, and holding all receivers to less than 100 yards is really, really good from the Falcons. Better than I expected anyway.
Better than anyone expected, for sure. They figured some things out.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday that they were like top 7 against the running back. They were surprisingly better than everybody thinks. I just didn't think they were going. Nobody expects to hold the Chiefs under 20 points. Like that's just something that doesn't happen very often. So yeah, kudos to them for coming out with a great game plan. And Raheem Morris is coaching for his job, he's auditioning to be somebody's defensive coordinator and coach, maybe even stay and coach the Falcons. So kudos to them for putting up a good game. The one thing, Chef, that I saw from this game that got me a little bit I was very surprised by. So Matt Ryan completes 27 passes, but to who? It was 5 to Ridley, 5 to Hurst, 4 to Gage, and then that's it. Everybody else had 3, 2, 1. I was expecting more than 4 from 23 from Gage yesterday, and I'll be the first one to admit I got that wrong. I thought he would do a lot better than he did in that game, and it was just a weird kind of scene. Both running backs had 3 catches. It felt like an odd game where they controlled the clock and try to hold on to the ball and keep it away from Mahomes, which doesn't usually work. And again, it didn't work because once you give it to him at the end of the game, he's just going to score a touchdown on you. You're going to lose the game.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what happened. Gage didn't step up. Hayden Hurst had a good game, 5 for 47 and a touchdown. Tight end 3 on the week, which was very impressive. But yeah, you're right. I expected Gage to get a little bit more involved there.
Yeah, 4 for 23 is not a good line for Gage.
No, and I know we definitely had some high hopes for Gage yesterday with the absence of Julio. I can't talk.
I mean, we had high hopes for this game on both sides, and it seemed like it really didn't come into that. Sammy Watkins got injured. Tyreek Hill was dealing with an injury. Probably won't see him next week. And then Mahomes seemed to struggle, only completing 24 of 44 passes, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw a pick in this one. So I think that the Chiefs need this bye, to rest their starters. I wouldn't even be surprised if Mahomes sat in the second half of this game.
Oh, I agree.
The Chargers next week.
I think it might feel like a preseason game.
Indeed. If he even plays.
Because why would you? Andy Reid's a smart guy.
Yeah, you got bigger things to play for than
that. Yeah, 100%. He's got a championship to keep in Kansas City. He's got a trophy to keep there.
And the Falcons, they go up against the Bucs next week, and you can rest assured to know that the Bucs will most likely be sitting almost all their players as well, right? You would think. Then they clinch.
They clinch a playoff spot, but you're always jockeying for position, Chef, and trying to figure out who it is that you're matching up with and who you're playing against. I don't think they can win the division anymore. I'm pretty sure the Saints have that sewn up. But they're all those teams, like the Saints and the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Packers are all playing for something next week. They're all playing for that first round bye. And then they're playing for positioning to see who has to go in the second game and go to Lambeau. Nobody wants to be that team that has to win a game and then go to Lambeau as your reward in the second week of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's very true. And we mentioned Chiefs go up against the Chargers next week. Okay, yeah, we touched on that because that's just going to be the Chiefs B squad. And I want to say what's up to everybody in the chat right now.
Yeah, indeed. I was going to say it's jumping. We might as well say what's up.
What's up, Justin? Justin is down 0.14, and he has the Bills kicker. I feel pretty good about that.
Get an extra point out of him, and you're done.
Okay. Yep. I love that. He says he didn't realize, but Miami can get the 3rd pick.
Hey, if the Bengals and Jets want to keep winning and do us a favor, I'll take it.
Yeah, Houston. And that's Houston's pick, isn't it?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
It's that Texans pick. We'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just don't take you're gonna take a quarterback with that? Never mind. Let's move on.
Hey, don't start that.
I'm just kidding. And Chris Hayes, what's up, man? Welcome.
Sorry to hear that, Chris. My man.
9th place.
You should have tuned in more, Chris.
Yeah, Ray should have freed up a little time
in the middle of the season. That's why I think your team fell off.
Hey, but he'll be here for next season. We'll be here for Chris.
He knows we got a lot of people that are winning because they were here with us week in and week out, and they've been singing our praises. And Chris should have been a part of that. I know you're a busy man, though, Chris. We forgive you. Come back and see us next season, though, and all off season, so you can be ready for next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Monir, welcome back, man. Welcome back. Well, shout out to Derrick Henry and Jalen Hurts.
Right.
I'll take that because I didn't really like the way Hurts played from an Eagles standpoint, but from fantasy, he didn't necessarily disappoint.
He sure did not.
It remains to be seen whether or not he outscores Josh Allen, which was the big question on yesterday's show. That being said, Monir is up 53 points against Allen, Diggs, and is it Bass or Bass?
Bass, the kicker, yeah.
It's Bass. Music, I go to Bass.
He
was projected to win by 40, and now it's 5. So I can understand why that would be tight. But it is Bill Belichick, and maybe he's able to scheme something against the Bills that can keep them from really putting up a lot of points, but who knows?
Hey, I want to give Monir a little bit of optimism. 154 and an interception. That's all Josh Allen did last time he played against the Patriots. So maybe he doesn't do great. Diggs didn't have a great game. It was a running type game, and I feel like it's going to be the same situation today. So hopefully for you, you hang on and win. I think you got a shot, though.
Yeah, definitely has a shot. Definitely have a shot.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to my boy Nate, Jack,
my man Nate.
That was who joined us last Sunday on the Sunday Tilt. That was great.
Great show. Nate's a Yankee fan?
No, he's a Red Sox fan, so I want to make sure I point to the hat.
Where's one of my Phillies hats? I want to put Dave Dombrowski on it.
And just for those of you that are listening, you want to check out, if you are in week 17, like Mr. Swanson, you might want to check out the waiver show. It is the Tilting Waiver Show at the Fantasy Intervention YouTube channel and at Join Our Circle _ on Twitter.
Great show.
Nate's my co-host there. It's a great show. We have a lot of fun. I picked a couple that he didn't agree with this week, so I can't wait to get in the chat and talk to him about it. Yeah, it was great. Trubisky.
Favorite wire heroes. I love it.
And then this one in the chat, the Chosen Rose. Thank you for telling me to sit Young Ho Koo and play Young Wei. Sorry, and play yesterday. Greg the Leg Zerline. And I was thinking of this tilt yesterday when I was going through and I saw Young Wei Koo kicking, and I'm like, man, and he shanked one, right? I think he shanked
it to tie the game. He shanked the one to tie the game. So that was
right. That's the one I saw. Yeah, and I was like, oh,
he was 35
man.
or 36 before that. Man, he's an All-Pro kicker, and he missed that one. That's tough.
And then Zerline, man, he just came out booting it.
Yeah.
So the Chosen Rose, I'm winning in my championship game by 38. And my opponent has Stephon Diggs. Ooh, well,
I feel pretty good about
that. Could go either way.
There's no Stephon Gilmore, so there's that side of the optimism, but I think that J.C. Jackson does enough of a good job to hold him down, and I don't think he has a monster 38-point performance, especially like I keep saying, like Allen threw for 154 last time he played against the Patriots. So
true. Yeah, unless they're playing in a league that has crazy bonuses, they should be okay.
Yeah.
And Justin wants to know real quick who we have winning the NFC East, which is very close. And this is something that is heartbreaking to myself. Chef has had some time to get over it. But this is brand new to me.
Oh, well, let me stop you right there because I still believe we can win and you cannot. So I was going to save this for the Eagles game breakdown, but the Giants are still in contention, my friend. We have to beat the Cowboys and the Redskins have to lose, and we go into the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, that's right. All right.
My pick is the Giants, of course.
Wow.
Surprise. You know, I was going to say in the beginning of this segment, but I'm not sure if everybody here is a wrestling fan. I was going to say, it doesn't matter who wins the NFC East because, I mean, really, it doesn't matter. Like, you're going to host a playoff game, and then somebody's going to come in there and stomp you. So, I mean, congratulations. You made the playoffs. You got a worse pick than everybody else in your division. Kudos to you. Like,
I'm scared that the Cowboys
might
do
the second seed right now in the NFC.
The two is
the Saints.
It's between the Saints and the Seahawks.
Right. Saints and the Seahawks. So, oof.
Saints, Seahawks, and Packers.
We beat the Seahawks. We beat the Seahawks earlier in the season, so you know it could happen. But to be honest, I think Dallas might actually have the way they played.
You won't be playing them though if you're that seed.
No,
because the 4 division winners are still going to be 2, 3, and 4. So you'll be playing 5, whoever's the first wild card team, and that right now is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So
that's just wonderful.
Yeah, that's like I said. Good luck with that.
Well, we almost beat them once too.
Justin agrees too.
There it is. Yeah.
It'd still be up in the air. Once we get to the Eagles matchup, I guess we'll talk about it more. But they definitely. But yeah, you are not the Rock.
No,
I am not the Rock. I am not the Rock.
All right, so let's get back to some of these games, and the next one on our docket is the Browns at the Jets. And Juan, this is crazy because there's 2 games on this list that we talked about yesterday after the show when we were building our DFS lineups and putting in some last minute parlay bets.
Right,
truly. And this is one of those games where I was like, man, the Jets could wind up winning. All right, maybe it was it was definitely the Bengals game. I know that.
Yeah, you asked me about both of them. You asked me about both of them.
And you're like, there is no way that these guys win a second game in a row.
Yeah, they're not putting together a winning streak. That was my basic like gist of it. I was shocked that it happened. Everybody was shocked. Even without those receivers, like, did you really expect the Browns to be able to lay an egg? Like, you're playing for your playoff life. You still have Baker, you still have Myles Garrett, you still have Nick Chubb. And at one point, it was Nick Chubb 8 carries for 6 yards. Like, what happened to the team? But I did mention yesterday that Teller was going to be out, right? And Jedrick Wills was going to be out. And that's
Correct.
huge. When your 2 best offensive linemen are injured, like, and they're not playing, that changes the way you're able to run the ball and the way you're able to move. But still, there was no excuse for Baker fumbling at the end of that game, and they should have won that game. And I'm sorry that I told you that I didn't think those winning streaks were possible, Chef. You might have been able to make some money. My bad.
Any given Sunday, man. Any given Sunday. That's how it goes. Hey, I still won money later on. It took me all the way till Sunday night to win some money, but we're going to get into that game in a little bit. So I want to keep rolling with this one. And like Juan was saying, yes, the Browns, they couldn't get anything going on the ground. The Jets win this 23-16. And it's clear that the Browns did not have their starting wide receivers. And the Jets, they know how to hold it down, man. Their defense is pretty good. And you said Leonard Williams wasn't playing in this one, correct?
Quinnen Williams.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Quinnen Williams was out, and he was the big run stopper, and I really didn't think they would have that kind of success up front without him. Like, he's a difference maker, and I really didn't think they were going to be able to hold it down. The big surprise for me was on the other side was with the Jets was that offense and the way they were able to do certain things and exploit certain things. The gadget plays. I mean, Crowder's throwing touchdowns to Braxton Berrios. Like, that's what we're doing.
Unreal.
Now. Right.
Unreal.
I'm glad that we mentioned starting Crowder. What's going on with me?
I'm not sure you're dying over there, Mr. Swanson.
I'm dying. It's been a long season.
Take a drink.
I'm glad that we mentioned starting Crowder.
Oh, for sure.
There were some quality points for. I mean, throwing a 43-yard touchdown doesn't hurt as well, but he finishes with a great fantasy day.
Indeed, for a while there, he was in the top of the leaderboards as far as fantasy wide receivers, and he was doing great for a lot of people. I'm sure he got people into the finals and won some games last week or yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, one of our tilts, one of the Sunday tilts was
Luciella agrees.
Agreed with.
I was going to ask you if you guys can hear her.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
She's on a podcast.
Yeah.
She's got a better voice than I do. She sounds better than I do.
She's right outside the door talking about that old daddy. She wants to come in here.
No, bring her in, dude. Bring her in. Let her come in and say hi to everybody.
She's going to be a terrorist. All right, come here, Luce. Let her in.
And we got another Luce right here in the chat too. We got Luciello and we got Lucius.
Yeah, Lucius, right?
And this is great because he says Lucius starts screaming, "Chef is on TV." Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
While picking games. Oh man, he doesn't have enough words to explain how much laughter and levity you've brought to my family this season. Man, Lucius, I can't explain to you how much.
I gotta get up because every time I do this, his words are in the way. Yo, the love is real.
The love is real, man. Really, really have brought us. I mean, I get all choked up. I really do.
I'm just excited. I'm excited for him to say that. Like, oh, Chef is on TV. That is great.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And he says thank you again, and of course, man, thank you. But you're welcome. We're happy to do it. And our insight and game knowledge was great. The delivery of our podcast was contagious, and we were great. And also, you better believe I won my championship.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. Let's go,
Lucius. Let's go.
Good job, Brian. Good job, man.
That's awesome.
Shout out to a champion right there, cuz that's the way you get it done.
It's a good feeling too. I just got my first one in our dynasty league, and I'm really happy about it right here. And I'm glad that you won too, Lucius, and that we have winners in the tilt squad.
It's crazy for me because this is the first year in I think 3 years that I've not been in a final. So I'm living vicariously through the chat, and it's great. I mean, we're winning more leagues than I'm in. So let's go. I'm excited about that, man.
It's the same feeling, man. It feels great. Right. And Juan, congratulations, by the way, for the Old Dirty win, man.
Thank you. I'm proud of that one, man.
Congrats. That was a lot of hard work. We saw that one coming.
It was.
We saw that one coming.
Yeah, man. You fight hard every single year, and this
lineup is the
very, very well deserved.
Thank you. I got a little lucky. Other people ran into some injuries and had a little
fantasy.
2020 and all that. But yeah, I'm fortunate. I'm happy. I can't wait to have the trophy, and it's a good feeling when you play with amongst your peers and you respect everybody that's in your league and their knowledge of football, and you're able to come out on top. You a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work, and it's dope.
I love that.
Well,
my man C, is that my man C Dot? Yes.
Is that Corey? Yeah. What's up, man?
What's up, Corey?
Hey, Corey, mine does. Mine does too. I know I traded him down and I talked stock down on Christian Kirk last week on the show. And shout out to Corey. We always do the fantasy 6-pack, the weekly 3 up and 3 down with Corey. We record that on Wednesday nights, and we just recorded, and I put stock down on Christian Kirk. And I didn't start him this week, but he is on my roster, and he's going to stay on my roster going forward. I love it.
I love it, man.
Well, just to wrap up the Jets portion of the game, Darnold only 16 for 175, 2 touchdowns, 17 fantasy points. Nothing special about this. Juan, you had mentioned Crowder throwing the touchdown to Braxton Berrios. Crowder was awesome. 29.32 fantasy points. I believe he's wide receiver 2 on the week so far. And the Jets go up against the Patriots next week. And I'm actually excited to see it because the way that they're playing now is something different. And could we say that the Jets could possibly beat the Patriots next week?
I think so, because a lot of these guys on the Jets are playing for their careers, for their future, because a lot of them might not be there next year. So if I were on the Jets and I know the landscape of what's happening with that team, I'd be playing my heart out to hopefully go somewhere next year where I can really flourish.
It's an audition.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. I was just going to say it's an audition next week. That's all it is for a lot of these guys on the teams that are already losing, the teams that are out. Coaches want to see who fights hard, who keeps playing through week 17. And those are the guys that are going to get picked up next year. I
saw something that JJ Watt said. It was a press conference, something he said yesterday. And it really spoke to me, man. It was just really just simple about how it doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what your record is. At the end of the day, you have fans who pour their hearts out for you, and they'll do whatever it takes to be there for the games and to watch them and to follow them, follow you into the dark. So basically what he said is you play hard no matter what. And that's, I agree 100%. That speaks to me. You play to win the game, regardless of what it matters.
Indeed.
Yeah. But it's easier to say those kind words when your team lost to the Bengals yesterday.
They weren't kind words. He was upset.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was upset. You want to jump right to that matchup and then we'll go back up because we're talking about it?
Nah, let's finish up all right. You were just saying the Browns versus the Steelers, and then the Colts played the Steelers this week. Steelers win 28-24. I'm sorry. I just don't want to jump around on the show.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, please do your thing. Do our thing.
And the running game continues to struggle in Pittsburgh, but the Steelers did what they do best and threw the ball a lot. Big Ben completing 34 of 49 passes for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns. And your man Deontay Johnson, Juan,
yes, sir,
he had a beautiful touchdown, fully extended into the end zone, finally held onto the ball, and it got it done for fantasy managers this week.
Yeah, him and Juju both. Them made actually Claypool had a really nice catch right before the touchdowns, like earlier on in the game. But they all came back and they came through. And Claypool did drop a touchdown pass, so they still have to work on the drop season. Juju was 9 out of 13, so he could have been a little bit more proficient. But still, 96 yards and a touchdown from him, 75 and a touchdown from Deontay. Like, you have to love that performance from both of them.
And the running back woes, I think they kind of still exist. I mean, we saw James Conner get 5 carries for 20 yards, and a touchdown, but 5 receptions for 45 saved his fantasy day. If you were, I don't want to say the word BA, yeah.
If you were brave enough,
yeah, brave enough. That's
brolic. If you were brolic enough,
brave enough to play him in week 16. Like I had no choice in a deep dynasty league.
We had
he got some points, so I'm happy about that. 17.5 on the day.
There was someone from the Till Squad yesterday who had that same situation, and we, based on everything that was on there, I forget who it was, but we told him to start Connor, even though it didn't feel great. So finishes with a good fantasy day, so that's great.
Yeah, he saved us with a touchdown, and a lot of these guys, that's what they did. Like, even Chubb yesterday was disappointing, but he found the end zone and it got you a cheap touchdown. So that's what saves you and gives you that floor. The guy has opportunity to be involved around the goal line. And yesterday, Connor got you that, and he got a little bit of that passing work that the chef mentioned. So pleasantly surprised with Connor's output.
And on the other side of the ball, the running back, Jonathan Taylor, 18 carries, 74 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This is more the Jonathan Taylor that we had hoped to see earlier in the season when he had first been named the starter. And he's really come into his own. And going forward in fantasy, I really like him.
Also on my Week 17 roster.
That's fire.
Well, that's great.
That's fire, Mr. Swanson.
That league's all flex, too. It's quarterback, tight end, 5 flex spots, and a kicker and a defense.
Oh, yeah. You might want to fire him up, Mr. Swanson. 74 yards was the lowest yardage output he's had in 5 weeks. Like, so, you know, he's been killing it. 83 before that, 150, 115, 90. Like, so he's been killing the game. So he's somebody you want to start going forward. And like you said, Chef, dynasty-wise, yeah, it's tough. He's in the top 5 conversation for sure moving forward.
Yeah, and next week they get the Jaguars. So we all saw what Montgomery did, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But, man, they are a sieve for running backs. So I think Jonathan Taylor there for you, Mr. Swanson, next week, a little peek into Week 17. That looks like a great matchup for Taylor.
Colts need a win, too. They're on the outside looking in right now at the playoffs. They need to win, and then they need a little bit of help. So they're going to have to handle their business in Jacksonville.
I'm lucky to have some guys that are still playing for some
or against them.
And fortunately, I didn't have to wrestle with the TY situation, which I know a lot of people did yesterday. And once again, Zach Pascal leads the Colts in receiving, 3 for 64 for 15.4 fantasy points. I mean, except for those couple games where TY really did his thing. It's tough to it's really tough to trust him. It's had a tough year.
Yeah, I think Hilton was like 3 of 7 for 40 yards or something like that. I think so.
Hurts.
Yeah, he didn't do too much. He wasn't very involved. He was
3 for 60. I'm sorry, 3 for 60 on 7 targets.
Yeah, you'd like to see him do better with the targets that he had, but they didn't have much time. You got to remember that they were missing Braden Smith and Anthony Costanzo. So when you're missing your 2 outside tackles, it's tough to get Phillip Rivers the time he needs to throw the ball and plant and make good throws down the field, and he wasn't able to do that very much.
Shout out to Chase Vernon from Fantasy Intervention.
My man.
Thanks for coming in, man.
It makes me sad. Yeah, too, Chase.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I think it's more like the inability of Rivers to be able to connect with him that makes you sad. Like, he is open and he's running good routes, and then Rivers just misses them or the timing is off. I don't like the way he's running.
We also talked about how they had some holes in their offensive line. Costanzo didn't play, and it definitely affected Phillip Rivers yesterday, and we saw that. But at least the running game was good, just not good enough to beat the Steelers at the end of the game, because I think the Colts should have had it. I believe they were up 21-14 at one point.
We'll see what happens next year when Corey said it right there, Wentz or Darnold 2021, and that's what we mentioned too. We could see Wentz going there. We could see Darnold going there. There's definitely going to be a quarterback uptick, I think, in Indianapolis to really get push them over the next level.
It could be Carr. It could be Jameis. You never know what's going to happen. The carousel is going to be so interesting to watch. And shout out to @JoinOurCircle_ and the whole fantasy intervention team, because we're going to be focused on the whole offseason. And Steph's going to tell our girl Steph's going to tell us who's injured and who's not, who's going to be back. And that carousel is going to be entertaining. If anything else in the offseason, like that quarterback carousel is going to be must-see TV.
Yeah, it is. I love a good carousel. Horses and stuff, man.
It's a different kind of carousel, but yeah.
Oh man, that's a wild ride, that carousel. But we talked about the Steelers playing against the Browns next week, and then we also mentioned the Colts versus the Jags. And speaking of the Jags, they lost. Of course they lost. The Bears win 41-17. And I know it was the Jags, but has Trubisky saved his job in Chicago, Juan?
You just said it, Chef. It was the Jags. They were trying to show the Jets how to tank. They were like, this is how you do it. Like, they were like full Montel, like, this is how you do it. They were ready. And they were ready to tank, and they did it. They sat James Robinson. He didn't play. And you saw Gumbawale do okay. But I don't know if I buy that Trubisky stuff, Chef. I would have a hard time if I was a Bears fan to back that decision to keep him there. I would definitely want the team to explore other options and look around and try to figure something out. Because to me, I don't think he's the answer. Maybe he goes somewhere else and does something great. Too large a sample size with too many problems for too long. I'm ready to go.
Just to put it into perspective, and I'm not really a Trubisky truther, but his scoring was impressive yesterday. 3 total touchdowns on the day. He got over 23 fantasy points, and he winds up as QB5 on the week ahead of Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. And it just makes you wonder, he is definitely a streamer nonetheless when it comes to fantasy football. And it is something to think about next year as the Bears move on. Who knows what's going to happen with Foles there, like you said. And the running game of the Chicago Bears is built around one guy, David Montgomery. Now, Montgomery, 23 carries for 95 and a touchdown, had finished the day with 20.1 fantasy points. He absolutely crushed it.
He did. He did, Chef, and I'm sorry that you traded him in Dynasty this year, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do, and you have to move on from players, and you did it. But again, I want everybody to kind of pump the brakes a little bit. It was against the Jags. They're not really playing for anything. They're a depleted team right now. They have you want to impress me? You want Trubisky to be good? Let's see what he does next week against Green Bay.
I like that. He's playing to get paid, and he'll probably shapeshift that into himself.
It happened with Carson Wentz, Steph. So, yeah, I believe that. Carson Wentz got the bag and it was like, all right, I'm back. Now I want to be that Carson Wentz.
God.
It's going to be interesting to see what David Montgomery can do next week against the Packers. The last time he played them, 11 for 103, and then got 5 for 40 in the receiving game with a touchdown. So that's something to look forward to against the Packers next week. Maybe it'll snow again. Ooh, that was a scoring game.
And they're both still playing for something. They're both playing for their playoff lives, either whether it's the number 1 seed for the Packers or just to stay alive for the Bears. They're up battling against the Cardinals to see who gets in. Both teams are going to put everything into this game. So that's still it's sad when you see games that are going to happen like the Kansas City versus the Chargers game where all the stars are benched and you really don't want to watch that. But then you got games like that, Green Bay, Chicago, where it's just going to be old school smash mouth divisional game. Everybody needs to win and everybody has to show and prove. So that's going to be a good game to watch.
For sure. And Antonio Conchola stepping back in. That's that W right there. Welcome back, man. Hey, guys, check back with you to let you know how I did. I got lucky that my opponent started Breeze instead of Watson, but Gordon and Bell and Henry left flat. However, Rodgers, Adams, and Evans saved me, so we're good.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
As long as it's a win for the Tilt Squad, I'm with it.
Absolutely,
it was tough with Gordon, and we haven't gotten to that game yet, but a little sneak peek. Gordon, he had every opportunity to do well in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Porous defense with Bosa being out and Phillip Lindsay being out. He had all the opportunity in the world, and he was really one of my disappointments when I saw his line today. I think he only rushed for like 70 yards, and that's all he got. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was an ugly game, a weird game, and then the Chargers were in control, and then suddenly the Broncos were back in it, and then Drew Lock, who, by the way, doesn't Drew Lock remind you a little bit of Corey Spala, like not in the skills-wise, because we know Lock likes to throw interceptions, but he's kind of got that swag to him, like, you know what I mean, that Corey Spala swag. They kind of even look alike. Like I could see Corey.
Like that YOLO swag?
A little bit. A little something.
I could see it right from the picture right there. And,
you know what I
mean? And he loves a good casserole too. Does Drew Lock.
Yeah, he brought them back in that game. He brought them back in that game, and he made some decent throws. And there's, the future's bright, I think, for the entire AFC West. Sure. They're playing for next year. The Chargers won't be playing much for anything next week, but still playing for next season and to try to make that team better. So they do get Derwin James back, and then they're going to get some of those pieces back, and Melvin Ingram and Bosa. So they should be okay going forward. But the future's bright for both those franchises, I think.
And a little bit of. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chef. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I agree with you 100%, Juan. And I just want to knock on your door a little bit with this next little stat. Laviska Shenault yesterday, jumping back into the Jags and the Bears, 5 for 48 and a touchdown. That's his third touchdown on the season, and he finishes with 15.8 fantasy points. How do you feel about that? Because you were up and down on Laviska Shenault all year.
Yeah, you just said it's his third touchdown. One of them was the first week of the season. So he started off bright, and you're like, okay, this is going to be one of those rookies that gets out to a fast start and stays ahead. But unfortunately, we didn't see it. We didn't see the touches, the inconsistency at quarterback. Like now it's a different animal. Trevor Lawrence and Laviska Shenault, like that could be something different now. Like, you have DJ Shark. Colin Johnson's going to be huge next year. He's going to be one of the most talked about sleeper guys that we talk about next year. He's going to be a mid-tier wide receiver that you're going to be able to draft and may have a lot of production with a rookie quarterback. Not unlike T. Higgins, who we saw this year flourish with Joe Burrow. Like, you might see a young guy like this have a real impact in his second season.
Yeah, Laviska Shenault next year might be a serious problem. I mean, usually it takes wide receivers, especially like more than a season, maybe a season and a half, to really start to fall into their own. And I think that with the way that he plays, yeah, he could be an absolute smash next year.
Yeah, he's going to be
Plus, I love saying his name. He's going to be
Laviska Shenault. Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be a smash in the slot next year. He's going to be somebody, and I'm happy I have him in a couple dynasty leagues, and I'll be able to hold on to him for a little while because he's going to be good next year.
Hey, attaboy.
Right on. Jaguars at the Colts, like we talked about. Packers and the Bears play next week, as we talked about. And moving on to my team, Giants at the Ravens. Ravens win 27-13. Man, it just stinks as a Giants fan, man. We had our flashes of greatness this year.
Could be worse.
Yeah, I guess it could be. We're still in playoff contention, so that's a great thing to know. But when you go up against Lamar Jackson and he throws 2 touchdowns and he rushes for 80 yards, it's hard to stop him, even with a decent defense. And the most surprising thing about this game, guys, it wasn't the fact that Lamar Jackson ran and he got 20.3 fantasy points. It was the fact that Gus Edwards, and I hope Chase is still in the chat. It was that Gus Edwards had 15 carries for 85 yards, 2 receptions for 37, and had 14.2 fantasy points, outscoring J.K. Dobbins in fantasy.
I said it before, it's going to be the Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, same situation. They're going to be the exact same running back tandem next year because he just barely outscored him. But yeah, Gus, go ahead and speak on it.
Yeah, no, listen, they're both good running backs, and the system is finally right. You know what I mean? Like, we talked about this yesterday, Chef. As soon as the show wrapped, we were talking about it. And it's like, yeah, Lamar may not go for 100. J.K. Dobbins may not go for 100, and Gus may not, but they're going to end up with like 250 yards rushing almost against anybody. And they lost Marshall Yanda last year, and it took them up until now to get young Ben Powers that replaced Yanda to actually be a really good offensive lineman. And now you see them, and they don't care if you're the Cowboys, the Giants, like whoever they're playing, they're going to hit you for 250. It doesn't matter. That's what they're going to do. They're going to run the ball for 200 yards on you. And who gets the bigger slice of the pie is going to be a guessing game that we're going to hate going forward. Like, next year, it's going to be tough. Even without Mark Ingram in there, you saw yesterday, you still had no idea who was going to lead the backfield and who was going to get the goal line touches. But Dobbins has scored in maybe 5 weeks in a row now that he's found the end zone.
I think that would make him 5. Right?
Yeah, I think it makes it 5 weeks in a row now, or it's either 4 or 5 weeks in a row that he scored a touchdown. Yeah, 4 weeks in a row. So you love to see that kind of opportunity going forward. And I think next year he's a solid RB1. Like, there's no doubt about it in my mind that he's an RB1 next year.
I enjoy that take, Juan. That's pretty good. My one take for Hollywood Brown was he was a piece of coal in your Christmas stocking this week. And for the most part, he was 4 receptions for 25 yards. Only thing that saved him was a touchdown. And that got you over the mark. And most likely you guys, took my advice with a grain of salt and said, oh, okay, I really want to stay away from Hollywood Brown up against that Giants defense, who played decent in the secondary, just can't stop the run.
It's tough against that Baltimore team, man. It's not just any team that you're stopping the run. You guys have been pretty decent stopping the running back in the last few weeks. It's just that when you run up against that juggernaut offense, it's really tough to slow them down.
The one bright spot for the Giants was Sterling Shepard, 9 for 77 and a tutty. He got it done for you if you were brave enough to yeah, I keep wanting to say something else. If you were brave enough to start him yesterday for your playoffs or your finals, he rewarded you 22.7 fantasy points. That's great coming from Sterling Shepard. May have had something to do with Golden Tate being out, but nonetheless, it was great.
We mentioned that yesterday, Chef, during the Sunday tilt. We mentioned that the secondary from the Baltimore Ravens was banged up. And then during the game, you saw Peters go down for a little, or Humphrey go down for a little while. Peters wasn't going to play, and Jimmy Smith banged up. So, like, yeah, you had an opportunity for Sterling Shepard to have success, and he took full advantage of it. I thought, honestly, he might even do better than that. Like, that's great, and it's a pleasant surprise, and nobody was expecting it. But I thought he might be able to have, like, a smash game and get over the 100-yard mark.
He was close to it. That's for sure.
All right. So
Nothing really else to talk about with the Giants. I don't even want to talk about Evan Ingram. I mean, I'm happy that he got the targets, but
He made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yippee.
Oh, come on, Chef.
Yippee. No,
Come
man.
on.
I'm a little bitter. I'm a little bitter today. I don't know why.
He's right next to you.
Yeah, you got his jersey sitting right there.
He's right there. He can hear
You don't
you.
see the for sale sign on the bottom half of this jersey. My nameplate.
That's good.
It's gonna be a raffle item.
Raffle item.
But the Giants,
the first person that leaves us a voicemail on the website.
Yeah.
I'm calling right now. I'll take it.
The Giants' fate is still up in the air. They go up against the Cowboys next week, who I believe, did we beat them last year? This year, rather? I can't remember. I do not remember, to be off. I shouldn't even have brought it up because I don't remember myself. And as a Giants fan, that's pretty.
I don't think you did, and I think that you do now control your own destiny at the very least. So, like, win and you're in, and hope that the football team continues its downward spiral, falling apart situation that they have going on, because it's not looking good for that team. But all they need to do is win, though. So that's the scary part of it. You can win against Dallas and still not make the playoffs if the football team handles their biz.
And I'm unsure of the exacts on this, but I believe that the Ravens clinched a playoff spot.
No, they have not yet.
They have not. They're in the 6th seed right now, up above the Browns. Is that it?
They could mess around and lose next week. And if the Colts, the Dolphins win, then they can be bumped out. And the Browns, they would have to win as well. If the Browns beat the Steelers, the Dolphins have to beat the Bills, and then the Colts have to win their game against Jacksonville as well. So
Giants play the Cowboys week 5. Cowboys won 37-34.
Yeah, I figured I remember that you guys lost. I didn't remember the exact score, but I remember that you guys lost that game.
Well, it was a close game.
Yeah, high scoring too.
Divisional game should be the same way this week too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to at least watching some football. Fantasy free. It sucks. DFS.
Yeah, I was going to say there's dailies for everybody, Chef.
DFS. Got a day-to-day Monday Night Football. JC Molieri, welcome back. What's up, man? Happy Monday Night Football.
Happy Monday Night Football.
Let's go. And
you have to enjoy it. It's the last one. Isn't this the last Monday Night Football game?
Yes.
There isn't one in week 17, right?
Yeah. Correct. So Antonio wants to know if we like to chop the cash when we get into the championship game or just take it all. Depends on league to league.
Depends on my roster. I'll say that. Like, if I don't have faith in my roster and I know it's going to be a nail biter, I'd rather have half of the first and second place prize put together than just the second place prize.
Hey, I know we don't talk too much politics on here or any politics whatsoever, but I got a little Che in me, a little Che Guevara. And if you know who that is, like, I like to split it. I like to share it. I like everybody to have their own little piece. I don't mind that. What I want is the trophy and the bragging rights. Like, those are the two things that I want, The money is one thing, but when you put your real heart and soul into it, like you did this year in Dynasty, especially with all those trades in the offseason, I mean, we all did, but you definitely made it special. So that's.
And when you put it that way, Juan, second place, you're already splitting it. You're already splitting a monster pot. I know we play in some bigger money leagues than most people do. And if you get second place, you're handsomely rewarded. It's not like,
right.
Here you go.
But if
I'm gonna break you off something.
But if we split, for the reason that I do it is because of the situations that happen, especially this year with 2020. Like, it's not a fair game if you go into it and you're like, oh, this guy's missing 3 players because of 2020. Like, I win, like, that's sneaky, like, But what I do is I wait for the offer. Like, if somebody else is like, hey, you want to split the pot? I'm always for it. I don't always volunteer it, especially if I have confidence in my team, like you said, Chef. Like, if I think I'm going to win, I'm not going to come out and volunteer it. But if the other person does, I'm always down to do that if they're willing to do it.
Fair enough.
For sure. What's going on, Brad?
What's up, Brad? Welcome back.
Happy Monday. He's having a great day. Today's the day that Jags secured Trevor Lawrence and possibly Urban Meyer, which I did hear about.
They've been talking about that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's either him or Dabo. Like, anybody can go, and everybody's going to want to coach there. Like, if you're Eric Bieniemy, why wouldn't you want to leave Kansas City? Like, you don't want to leave Kansas City, but why, if to be a head coach, like, I'll go there, especially like if they get a new GM and Louis Riddick comes and they change the whole culture around. That could be an exciting place to go and play. Absolutely.
And if y'all can see the jersey that Juan has on right now that he got for Christmas is what's up? What's up, D-Pass? There it is.
Some homies.
It's salute to service, my homies, and thank you, boo boo. Mahomes is on the dynasty team, and that's partly the reason he didn't have a good game yesterday. 32 fantasy points in that league in that format, which isn't great. Usually we get like 60 points out of the quarterback with all the bonuses, and he underwhelmed a little bit, but he's still Mahomes, and he threw a touchdown at the end, and he's basically the reason why the team is good. And I was able to flip 17 players and basically just keep him, like you said, in the offseason. So thank you, boo boo, for the jersey, and shout out Patrick Mahomes. Sorry.
Nice.
I saved it.
We've been doing good with that.
And we talked about the Jets game, the Jets winning, and then we talked a little bit about the Bengals winning, and they played good football up against the Texans and win 37-31. Even with no Tyler Boyd, Brandon Allen and the Bengals get it done. Allen, 29 for 371, 2 touchdowns, got you 23.1 fantasy points. Now, I don't know anybody personally that had Brandon Allen playing less yesterday, but I mean, if they did, Higgins popped up 6 for 99 and a touchdown. But the real story was the ground game in this one. And my Christmas miracle, Giovanni Bernard, he produced, got 16 carries, 65 yards on the ground, and then 7 for 66 through the air, finished with 20.1 fantasy points in PPR. That's a Christmas miracle for me, man, if I ever heard one. But the other running back in this was it was just unbelievable. I felt like if Giovanni Bernard got Samaje Perine's workload added to him, he would have smashed the day. It might have been running back 1. 13 carries for 95 yards, 2 touchdowns, another 4 for 41 receiving, finished with 29.6 fantasy points. That is unheard of. Samaje Perine. I can't believe it. I really can't.
I don't know who won the Millionaire Maker, but if he had Samaje Perine on that team, he's a genius, and somebody should sign him, because who would have saw that coming? It is the Texans. They're absolutely atrocious defensively. They give up a ton of yards. But Samaje Perine, like, we never saw that coming. We told everybody yesterday, start Gio, start Gio, start Gio. We started him over Zeke. We started him over a lot of people. But you want to come in?
Oh, bring her on in.
Yeah, everybody's done playing. I mean, they're just here to brag about their winning, which I love. So let's keep that going and bring her in, Juan. Hey, there she is. Hola, niña. That's my niece right there.
Hey.
Say hi, Theo.
Hi. I'm Theo.
You're Theo.
Yeah.
I'm Theo.
Hi, Theo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's so cute. I love that little girl.
It's not Bud Johnson.
But on the other
side, it's Mr. Swanson. He looks like Ben Affleck too. Yeah, they all look like Ben Affleck.
If you white, you're Ben Affleck. Aww.
Go ahead, Theo. You can keep going. Go ahead.
Yeah, on the other side of the ball, Mr. Swanson, the Texans lost, but had some fantasy studs as well. Watson did well, 24 for 324, 3 touchdowns. Got you 24.7 fantasy points. That was helpful. I know Juan had him in his dynasty final.
Yep. David Johnson got it done too, man. 12 for 128. 2 total touchdowns for 28.9 fantasy points. We definitely said a couple folks yesterday to fire up David Johnson. And truth, he just still gets it done, man. And I have shares with him, and it is super encouraging.
We didn't expect that monster performance, though.
Not
we
that
didn't
much.
expect him to go off, but he went off.
Yeah,
right.
I want to go to bed.
And Brandon Cooks ends up being ends up finishing as the top receiver on that team, 7 for 141 and 1 for 27.1 fantasy points. There's always the question in this game of who the targets we're going to go to, but finishes up that Brandon Cooks takes the lion's share of those.
Yeah, well, I think it had a lot to do with who Watson really trusted. I mean, Kiki QT, we didn't really see too much going on there, and he really didn't have too much else to lean on. Yeah, I mean, it was what his comfortable level, his comfort level was with David Johnson and Brandon Cooks, but it just wasn't enough to beat the Bengals, which is crazy. And we talked about, the Bengals go up against the Ravens. Texans play the Titans next week. They're gonna have to put up points against the Titans.
Yeah.
If they want to win that game and do what JJ Watt said, which is not quit going into the final game and like showing and proving that you're still a good unit and that you have potential at least for like going forward. Like if these guys are auditioning for jobs, they're also auditioning to get a new GM in there and a new head coach to come into that culture. And you want to show at least that you have fight, but that's not what they showed by giving up all those yards to Samaj P. Ryan and to Giovanni Bernard. And, you know, the struggles are real for the Texans. And I expect next week for the Titans who need a win to have a huge game against them.
Just wanted to bring this up real quick because I saw it. Antonio, you and I both are in a Week 17 championship next week. So bring your start sit questions. We are here for Week 17. I'm going to have a lot of them my own. So yeah. Bring them in. I'm glad.
Are we setting Mr. Swanson's roster for his Week 17 matchup? Is that what we're doing live on the show?
Let's do it. I mean, I'll bring it up.
We could definitely do that, and we'll help Antonio and his son out for sure for Week 17. And anybody else who has Week 17 leagues, some people have those 2-week games that whether it's a game Week 16 and 17, and they add up the score. It's cumulative between those two. So that's dope too. So we're happy to do that for everybody next week.
All right, Chef, what do we got next?
Well, the Panthers beat Washington, and that gives my Giants a shot. Panthers win 20-13. Mainly a defensive battle. Carolina comes up with the win against the former quarterback Dwayne Haskins. And yes, I said former because my man got cut today.
He on the street.
He is gone.
No contingency picks, no nothing, no trade. Bye. No talks, no nothing. Just to see you.
Yeah.
Don't you find that odd, Chef?
I do.
No.
Really?
You don't find it odd that you would just release?
No, after his behavior outside of the organization, that Ron Rivera is trying to build a new culture there in Washington. That's number one.
Okay.
Hanging out, I guess it was a strip club or there were strippers at a party. Either way, you're a professional. And most of all, I hate when these guys, you know, I like going out and having a good time, but you have to remember when you're in the spotlight like this, little kids look up to you.
It's true.
That's not the kind of culture that I know that I want to bring around my son when he's born. So that's something that I think about there. And then his media stuff yesterday after the game, his face reactions on the sideline, that is not an NFL caliber quarterback attitude.
Yeah, so, you know what? Yeah. Maybe they stopped the problem before it got bigger.
And not to mention, he's not that good at football.
Yeah,
and that might be the kicker right there because he's really terrible. He really is. I thought I had hopes for him in the beginning of the season, but when you go 14 for 28, 154 yards and 3 turnovers, 2 being an interception and 1 being a fumble, and only score me 1.1 fantasy points, and Taylor Heineke comes in the fourth quarter and goes 12 for 137 and a touchdown. Like, they should have put Heineken in at the beginning of the half. They shouldn't have waited till the fourth quarter, in my opinion.
It's really hard, Chef, to make that call when you drafted a guy as high as they drafted him. They handed him the keys. They gave him the captaincy. Like, you give him break after break. And if he was, like Antonio's saying, that you can't blame Washington because he's not Michael Vick talent. You're absolutely right. That's the guys that you give the opportunities to. I just thought there was enough that you saw enough from him that they would keep him around a little bit, or at least wait till the off season and maybe trade him. You know what I mean? For something. Like, you don't want to just give up on a first round pick. Like, basically what you did with that first round pick is you just crumbled it up, gave it $10 million and threw it in the garbage. Oh. That's what you did. So now you're, as a franchise, it's setting you back. I understand the selfishness. I understand what he's doing. And it's like, I don't want him on my team. I don't want him anywhere near my team, because if your coach is battling cancer, dude, and he's there every Sunday ready to play, like, you need to stay out of the strip club. Like, you need to be there for your coach, dude. Like, and you're putting him in harm's way and all that stuff with the 2020 nonsense and the other teams and everything else. So I get it. But I know somebody out there is going to give him a chance, Chef. Somewhere out there, there's a Mike Mayock and a John Gruden saying, I'll take him as my backup. Somewhere there's someone out there like, ooh, I can quarterback whisper him and I can develop him into something. Rivers is old. I'll take him in Indy and bring him up slow and let him sit third string behind Brissett and learn how to play behind Rivers one more year. Like, that's going to happen because it's the NFL, man. And he's too young and too high a draft pick for no one to give him a chance somewhere. Like, he's going to get signed somewhere.
He'll get signed somewhere. I agree.
I think Washington just bit off on the fact that he had 50 touchdowns his senior year in college, and he was a big name coming out of Ohio State, and it just backfired on them. And we see it all the time. I mean, these quarterbacks come into the league and then they fade out after 1 or 2 years. Johnny Football, great example.
I was gonna bring up Johnny Football, but I feel like that was too harsh of an example.
Yeah, he had other issues and other problems,
Yeah.
but it's along the same things. It's immaturity. Again, Chef,
Right.
this kid was 21 years old, started 1 year at Ohio State. You had a very small sample size. I don't even think he started full season. He's a very small sample size for you to base it around and put him in front of your, like, you know, your franchise and put him in front of the media. And this is your guy going forward. Like, it's a lot of pressure, and not everybody can handle that pressure in the same way.
I mean,
So
I guess,
mature.
yeah, they are trying to avoid the bad press too. You saw what happened with Geis, and that's something that,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
So, all
And
right.
the same day, their owner also had a problem stemming from like 2009, and the news came out that he paid someone off for a sexual harassment and all that other stuff. Like the PR for the Washington football team, who doesn't even have a name right
Doesn't have
now.
a name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like, it's such a toxic place, and you hate to see it, Chef, because the defense is real, and Chase Young is real, and Montez Sweat is real, and Jonathan Allen and the artist Payne, they're all so good, and that front four can be good for years to come if they do it right. That's a scary defense.
And then they have Antonio Gibson, who was a bright spot on their offense, along
Terry
with
McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin.
McKissick
too.
McKissick, I mean, yesterday, 4 for 15 yards rushing. Yeah, Antonio Gibson's back, but 8 for 77 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Later on in the game, finished with 23.2 fantasy points. Juan, you mentioned him as a guy that you were not benching in your fantasy rosters.
That was my Christmas miracle.
Yeah, it was Mr. Swanson's Christmas miracle, and we had someone in the chat, I don't remember exactly who it was yesterday, that said, I benched him last week, and I'm not going to make the same mistake going into this week. It might have been Lucius. I can't remember.
Big Greens. I think it was
maybe Big Greens, right? So yeah, I couldn't bench him, and he saved you with that long touchdown. And by the way, it was a beautiful touchdown, the way he caught that ball and held control. He was pass interfered with and still caught the ball. So, like, going forward, we forget, like, yeah, it's Washington, it's Scott Turner. It's the old CMC wheel routes. It's the old, like, who's the pass catching back? Like, that guy's going to be able to line up as a wide receiver, and they're going to get him open in space. So going forward, if he stays there next year, if he re-ups, like, yeah, caps Gibson's upside a little bit to have a guy that good at those particular set of skills, but it's still dope to have two guys that can do that. And Scott Turner, the future of that offense for McLaurin, your boy Logan Thomas, like, it's bright. The future is bright.
Yeah, and I mentioned Logan Thomas in the show docs here. He finished with 13.3 fantasy points, finished as tight end 4 for the season, but I had a tilt come in late. I believe it was before the 49ers game. What day did they play? Saturday, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was Saturday.
Yep.
And I'm making dinner for my wife, and, it's the holidays. I'm drinking wine, having a good time, and the tilt came in over Twitter saying, do I play Kittle or Logan Thomas? And I'm like, Logan Thomas. And sure enough, they both had great games. Kittle had 13.1 fantasy points. Logan Thomas had 13.2. So
that's a W.
Either way, there's a lot of people losing by less than a tenth of a point out there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Man. It's been a weird year. I'll take that dub every day.
Panthers play the Saints next week. Washington at the Eagles, trying to salvage their playoff push. We'll see what happens. I don't know, Mr. Swanson. You think the Washington Redskins, football team, could get it done against the Eagles next week? Or do your boys play spoiler?
I think everybody in Philadelphia, I think they're just going to continue to play their hearts out. I really do. I don't think we're going to lay down. I know the season's over for us. But there's, like I said before, a lot of other things in play just because we're not making the playoffs. So I think we play our absolute hearts out. We owe the fans that much. And
that wasn't the question, though. The question was, do you think they can stop the Washington football team?
Yes.
Oh, that's what I wanted to hear.
Okay, I was getting to that, but yes.
I do. The answer is if Fletcher Cox plays. If he doesn't play, Antonio Gibson is going to run the ball down your throat. They're going to win that game with good defense. That front line is going to get to the quarterback, and Hurts is going to have to make a couple turnovers like he did trying to play hero ball against the Cowboys, and it's going to be ugly. You need Fletcher Cox more than everybody realizes. That was unreal, the night and day of that football team. Unbelievable, the night and day.
Hit the light switch.
Unbelievable.
It did.
McLeod being out too also really, really hurts because you throw away from Darius Slay and things happen. You just saw what happened when we throw towards Darius Slay and nothing happens. But if you throw away from him, we get burned. But yeah, losing Cox, man, yeah, that's a good point. Ugh.
It hurts.
That's a story for another week. I'll just throw it for another week. Who else we got?
Yeah,
What are
For week 17.
we'll give you
Yeah, I
some short analysis on this Broncos and Chargers game. I'm sorry?
I said one more day until week 17. We're good.
You're lagging a little bit. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah.
That's just how I talk. Sometimes I just glitch.
The Chargers win a tight one, 19-16 on a Badgley 37-yard field goal. It feels like the Chargers, man, they're barely winning ball games. They just don't have what it takes to be a playoff contending team. But for fantasy purposes, they were okay yesterday, right, Juan?
I mean, Eckler was okay. You knew that there were going to be problems when you don't have Hunter Henry. You're not sure about Keenan Allen. He didn't end up playing. Like, that's just – it's unfortunate. Like, it's the end of the season. You're limping home. You're missing Joey Bosa. We talked about Derwin James a little bit earlier when I was mentioning this game. Like, in quick reference, there's too many missing pieces for you to put a really good product out there. And the one thing that you like to see is that Eckler's still a monster and Eckler's still getting the work. So going forward, you have optimism for him and you love Herbert, right? Like, I mean, you have to love him for the future. And even next week against Kansas City, like, why not? He threw for 300 almost against them. Last time, I think it was 275 he threw against him. It was his first game ever playing. He didn't know he was going to play. And he ends up playing against the Chiefs, and he does well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You know, so,
I think the Herbert thing, it's almost like Matt Ryan without Julio. Keenan Allen wasn't in this game, and you saw Herbert struggle a little bit, only 253 and a touchdown. I think that might have a lot to do with it. The fact that Keenan Allen is pretty good and commands so many targets and catches most of them.
Yeah, Hunter Henry too. It's a big drop off from Hunter Henry to Parham. Like, it's not, you know, apples to apples. It's different. So when you lose those two guys, like, Keenan Allen can't be covered. He's virtually open on every play. So if he's running around and he's open, the defense has to focus on him. It opens up everything else in the offense. So they need a little time. They need to gel. But Chef, they won by 3. But they've been in a lot of close games all season long. They found ways to lose games, almost like the Falcons, right? Like, they just find a way to not win at the end.
They found a way to win this one, which isn't.
They held on. They held on in this one.
They held on. They sure did. On the other side of the ball, Chef, Melvin Gordon letting us down a little bit here. We talked about him a little earlier.
Yeah, only 7.9 fantasy points, and their leading receiver was Deshaun Hamilton, the 4th-string wide receiver, not Judy, not Hamler,
6,
not Tim Patrick. So that makes me really nervous.
What makes me nervous, and maybe it's just an outlier, but 6 out of 15 targets for Judy.
Right. A lot of drops.
A lot of drops, missed throws, like missed timing on routes, right? It felt like it was a little bit forced. Like, almost like they forced the ball into him way too much.
It hit his hands a lot, though, Juan. And when
you're right,
you say it, when we grow up, we play in football. If the ball hits you in the hands, you should be able to bring it in. And there was just some that it looked like he just wasn't in it.
There was a lot of it,
and that's kind of crazy. Like, you know, that eye test kind of thing, where you can have all the stats in the world, but when you get into game time situations, that doesn't match up against NFL caliber defensive backs.
I feel like a lot of it with him was the same thing that we saw happening with the Steelers. And the reason that they have 35 plus drops and they like lead the world in drops right now is they're trying to do too much to like make up for the rest of the offense being inconsistent. And it's a lot of the ball's coming and it's about to hit your hands. And it's so instinctive that you're going to catch it, that you catch them peeking for the yards after catch, like right before. And at the last second, that's when he's dropping the ball. Like, he's trying to do too much. Catch it first. Like Larry Fitzgerald catches the ball, brings it in, then he makes a move. You don't want to get caught too much with catch and running and making that transition. And you've seen Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Juju, Ebron, because there's no running game in Pittsburgh. They're trying to compensate for that, and they're trying to do that. So now I feel like the Broncos are always coming from behind. They're always struggling, and Judy's trying to do way too much.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have Cortland Sutton in that offense, and it could be something different next year when Cortland Sutton comes back healthy.
I forgot.
It may actually help Jerry Judy.
100%.
Oh, my God. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you saw Fant go 6 for, what was it, 65, something along those lines?
6 for 65, yep.
Right. So if Fant's a solid tight end going forward, and if Cortland Sutton comes back and he becomes the alpha that he was meant to be, you got KJ Hamler in the slot. Like, you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? With Judy as your number 2, like, that's a good looking offense going forward with a strong arm quarterback. Makes poor decisions, yes, but maybe they can work on that and kind of fix it. We saw Josh Allen take a huge leap from year 2 to year 3. What's to say that the same thing can't happen for Drew Lock and eliminate some of the turnovers, poor decisions, because he's got a big, strong arm and a good offense. So,
and that's funny. Last week when the Bills played the Broncos, they were saying like in the pregame that Drew Lock based his career, his NFL career thus far, off of Josh Allen's, and the fact that he wants to continue to get better and learn from his mistakes. The learning from the mistakes have yet to been seen, but with a full roster and a more developed wide receiver in Cortland Sutton, and getting Phillip Lindsay back in the fold, Melvin Gordon, another year in the system, I think that Broncos team could be sneaky good. We said it at the beginning of this season, but hey, I think it could still happen next year.
I agree. And speaking of next season, real quick, on the other side of that ball in that game, Antonio drafted Allen in a 4 or 5 round, in the 4th or 5th round in the keeper league. Wants to know if he is worth keeping at that spot. I say yes.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's Keenan because we were just talking about.
Yeah, it was Keenan Allen.
I'm assuming it's Keenan. Yeah, Keenan's a smash. Like outside of the fact that he was injured right now, he was on pace to be on top of the world. And what that does is keeping him in the 4th or 5th round. It gives you flexibility to go running back heavy early because you have a solid.
And then get Herbert.
You could and stack him. Yeah.
Go running back heavy and get Herbert if he's still available. Depending on how your league works. Now keepers work, you might be able to get him because Herbert probably wasn't drafted anywhere up to the 4th or 5th round in this beginning draft because no one knew he was going to start. So he's definitely going to be out there. Depending on how quarterbacks go in your league, you might be able to snag him. Oh, I can't wait for draft season, man.
And Chef's already drafting. Chef's drafting.
I'm already drafting.
Dynasty startup today. Like he's already drafting.
Dynasty startup today. Industry draft. I think I'm on the clock.
Listen, a week ago, the chef was like, hey, listen, I'm going to cut down my leagues. I don't want to be in as many leagues next year. I'm going to cut my leagues down. And then he immediately turns around and starts a new startup.
That wasn't going to happen.
Well, I mean, I think I have to cut down the money leagues, like the bigger money leagues. They have to get cut down a little bit. Like some of the money that I put out there, it's not going to happen next year. Not with a little one going through the Priest household. So that's something I'm thinking about. And if it's a dynasty league, and this is why I like playing dynasty a little bit more than redraft, is you don't have to sit there and scour the waiver wire because there is no waiver wire with a 28-man roster. With an 18-man roster, yes, if you miss on the waiver wire, you're done because there's nobody else. With a 16-man roster, it's they're out there. Players are out there on a weekly basis, and that's normal fantasy football.
I don't know what that's like.
In dynasty football, Juan, you know it, JP, you know it. There are definitely less options available on the dynasty board, and you dig deep and you find hidden gems. I like finding the hidden gems on the waiver wire, and especially deeper ones that no one expected. So when I draft those young guys like in the 5th or 4th or 5th round, Juan, your guy Lynn Bowden, he popped a little bit this year. We saw Josh Kelly a little bit this year. Gabriel Davis showed up. He was a late ad in this year's draft. Those are the kind of guys that I like to see go off in Dynasty, and that's why I like that. And Dynasty leagues, man, you can find them anywhere. Like, $10, $25. Like this one's $25. I'll pay $25, and it's an industry league too. So I network for the show.
and it's good competition, Chef, when you're playing against people on that level. But what Dynasty does for me, man, the reason I love Dynasty is because it's Super Bowl's over. You got a month before you start the free agency period. It's kind of a lull in it. I can hit any one of you guys up at any time and be like, hey, what are you thinking about trading for this guy? What do you want for so-and-so? Like, hey, will this pick and this guy move so-and-so? And you can do that with your entire league, with anybody in it, 365. So that's what's exciting for me about it, is the constant flow. And like I said, I flipped 17 guys in the offseason. And I know it's a little crazy. I'm not going to trade that many this year, but you have to, it keeps it entertaining and it keeps it year round. Who doesn't love football year round? Like, I don't want to have that month or two where I'm just kind of watching TV shows and binge watching stuff. I want to be able to keep up with football. Yeah,
it's great. It's all year round.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Somebody got pulled over out of my house. Outside of my house. Yeah, it's that's what's great about Dynasty football, man. That's for sure. All right, so
we talked about the Chargers at the Chiefs. We talked about Broncos versus the Raiders. I mean, the Broncos are completely out of contention, and I believe the Raiders are as well.
They are
I'm
eliminated.
not
Yeah.
mistaken. Yeah.
yes.
So that game is irrelevant. But I mean, for fantasy options, it may be something that you look at. I don't know. Some of those Raiders looked good.
Sure.
I want to see if
They've-
Keenan Allen comes back.
They've also been banged up. I'm not sure if you're going to see Josh Jacobs too much. You might see Waller, you might see Carr out there, but I don't know. Carr with the groin, like I don't know if they even bother.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Tune in Sunday morning for the Sunday tilt, and we'll have the official ins and outs and all that because it's going to be a week where you're going to need to know that because if you guys are resting, you're not going to want to play them.
And speaking of injuries,
before we get into the next matchup,
This just in. We have great.
so Jared Goff underwent surgery today on his broken right thumb in LA and is unlikely to play Sunday versus Arizona.
Did he get the surgery? I know I was just
Yes.
about to say it when you dropped it. He got the surgery because
Yep.
I know they could push it to the offseason.
Just got the news.
Wow.
That
Right.
changes things for that team too.
Hey,
That hurts. Especially they don't have a known commodity at backup at the quarterback position. Earlier in the year, they did have Blake Bortles that was on their roster, but they ended up letting him go.
So that means
Where's he from? Hofstra? Somewhere? I forgot where he's from. He's somewhere he's not supposed to be in the NFL from. I don't remember what college. he was.
Jared Goff?
No,
John Wolford.
Oh, Wolford? Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
supposed to be there.
Yeah, he's from somewhere where they don't produce many quarterbacks. I forgot where it was, but Hofstra feels like it was right, something like that.
I'm putting my money on the Cardinals.
Yeah, listen, they're in for a playoff spot. I think they win that game. They have to find a way. They can't keep struggling, and they got to find a way to win that game and get in the playoffs. It's them or the Bears that's going to get that 7 seed. You want to get in.
Yeah, I think it's more like the Rams versus the Seahawks game where the Seahawks won 20-9. Not much offense from the Rams. I think Cooper Kupp had the most fantasy points for the day, 14.6 fantasy points. Pretty much the only bright spot. You had Darrell Henderson who got hurt. And then on the other side of the ball, Chris Carson really didn't do much either. 16 carries, 69 yards against that tough Rams defense. They're still not banged up, so that could slow things down for the Cardinals next week. DK Metcalf, 6 for 8 for 59. I mean, it was better than his first outing, Juan.
For 42 in the first one, yeah.
Yeah, so I like that a little bit, and we said you really can't bench him. He got you a couple fantasy points, 11.9 fantasy points on the day. That's not bad. But Russell Wilson, he hasn't been playing the same, man.
No, they're struggling a little bit, Chef, but they're playing a different brand of football. I think they're back to that Legion of Boom style of football because that defense was great yesterday. And they were both defenses were great. Russ just made more plays, and that's the criticism on Goff is that he can't make plays when there are no plays to be made. Like you're going to run into defenses that take away your 1, your 2, and your 3 progression, and you're going to have to find the 4th guy or make a move and make a run and play and get the first down the way Russ does. Extend the play and let somebody, street ball and get themselves open. You need that, especially going up against good defenses. And now in the playoffs, it's going to be crucial. So that's what separated the two teams. Jamal Adams is playing out of his mind right now. Like he was in the Rams backfield all day. He just lines up everywhere, and he's a difference maker, a true difference maker. And he's going to the playoffs for the first time. And that's the team you don't want to play. That's one of the teams like I'd rather play the Saints than play the Seahawks. Like I don't want to play the Seahawks, and especially in Seattle. Like I don't want to go play them.
Right. Yeah, they're looking like a tough team. Definitely.
Yeah.
Another tough team. No, not really. Eagles at Cowboys. 425 game. The Cowboys win 37-17. And something we didn't expect. Dallas actually played very good defense. And we were talking about the defense for the Rams and the Seahawks. But the Dallas defense did very, very well. And it pretty much Andy Dalton bailed them out through 377, 3 touchdowns. He was QB1 on the week, Juan. QB1, Andy Dalton.
That's about it. We've said a few times there's nothing more 2020 than this or that. Yeah, there's nothing more 2020 than Andy Dalton is the QB1 on the week. Like that's bonkers.
But it wasn't just him. It was Zeke finally looking like Ezekiel Elliott. 19 carries for 105 yards. Got a couple of receptions as well. And then the receiving core. Now, I said I was off Amari Cooper yesterday, but I was on CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb got it done, 23.4 fantasy points. But the big news was Michael Gallup. Where were you all season, man? 6 for 121 and 2 touchdowns. Like, come on, man.
You,
Oh,
you
I
called
wish
him
I
at
was
the
in the
beginning.
finals yesterday, man. I really do.
You called him at the beginning of the season, Chef. He was your guy. Like Michael Gallup was going to be your dude. That he was going to be, and everybody thought so too. There was a good chance that him and Cooper could both end up being top 15, top 10 wide receivers on the same team.
Well,
Once
Dak got it, but yeah, exactly. Okay.
Once Dak went down, everything else changed. For that team.
And that was week 5.
It was
against
nice to see
Giants.
them put the pieces back together and keep themselves in playoff contention against the Eagles yesterday. But I mean, aside from the playoff contention, I think Hurts fantasy wise, we talked about it a little bit earlier. He started off really, really hot with a bomb to Deshaun Jackson for 81 yards.
Yes.
But after that, it was like, okay, let's give it to Sanders, and we're just going to run the ball against the Dallas defense, and Dallas was not having it.
No, they weren't. Djax didn't have a single target after that bomb.
Correct.
And Hurts really just started to fall apart. There's a learning curve. There really is, and with no, there's.
Once Fletcher Cox went out, it was a completely different football game. Like that, Zeke wasn't getting 105 yards. We were right to say bench Zeke yesterday because no one could foresee that Fletcher Cox wasn't going to be in that game. It changed completely. And then Mr. Swanson, I know it started last week, but that he started playing that Michael Jacquet, is that his name?
Jacquet, yeah.
The most yards given up by a cornerback in, I don't know.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It was unreal. Like no corner has been beaten for the amount of yardage that he was beaten. I forget the exact stat, but it's absolutely absurd. And they just kept rolling him out there instead of rolling the coverage and helping him out, find a way to hide him, use him on a corner blitz, like do something different. And that's what that's what bothers me about the Eagles this year. And we're so close to this. And I'm a pseudo Eagles and Giants fan because of you two and because of where we live right here in this pocket. But your fiance. Right, exactly. And my fiance is a Giants fan too. But the Eagles situation, since I was a kid, I've been always following it, and it's a pattern, Mr. Swanson. Jalen Hurts towards the end of that game looked the same way that Carson Wentz looked when they didn't have a plan, and then we're trying to figure things out.
It starts to feel that it looks that way because it is that way that the plan falls apart. Whatever plan there was, it starts to scramble, and then it's just like, you can't win. Like that.
You weren't down that much for Miles Sanders to have been going away. You were having success. He was running the ball well. The RPOs were working. Suddenly, you just stop, and 3 downs in a row, you just drop back to pass. No play action, no motion, no creativity. No, let's just play ball.
Every time I want to start to maybe defend the play calling and say it was maybe more about the player. This was more with Carson Wentz. I'm starting to see patterns elsewhere now, and I really don't like it. I really, really didn't want to say it, but yesterday I was hoping that. You could rely on Jim Schwartz here. This is where you can rely on him. And you really couldn't. And like you said, he wasn't doing anything. I think we played too much man coverage yesterday.
Way too much.
Way too much. And it just,
especially when you have holes,
There's somebody that wants to make you feel better, Mr. Swanson.
Indeed.
Oh, hey. What's up, bud?
What's up, Big Greens?
Big Greens.
What up, Greens? Hold up. I'll put my greens down. Yeah. Welcome in, man.
Love when Big Green comes in. Happy Monday. Happy last Monday night football game, man. Chef, how badly did we want this in the spring when the whole 2020 thing was happening and we just please play football. I'm
happy we made it. We had a couple of hiccups, but we made it. And we got days of football that we weren't expecting. So it's kind of great.
For sure. And now we still have Monday Night Football. It's not the sexiest Monday Night Football game you've ever seen in your life, but it's Monday Night Football.
So we have anything else to talk about in this Eagles-Cowboys game?
Nope, that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, there's nothing else. We can move on to the snow game of the week. That was great last night. The Packers versus the Titans in Lambeau in the snow, just the way you wanted to finish a holiday weekend. Packers win 40-14. And
Aaron Rodgers, he's having a great time.
Yeah, you think? I mean, Rodgers has always notoriously played well in the snow up in Lambeau anyway, and it wasn't much difference here. He only missed 4 completions out of 25 passes, 231 yards and 4 touchdowns, and somehow the run game combined was over 218 rushing yards with that amount of passing. It was just amazing.
It was nice to see from A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, and it's nice to see him make an appearance finally. It was Jamal Williams wasn't playing, so he knew he was going to get a little bit of work, but it was nice to see that.
No one knew he was going to get that much work, though. 21 carries, 124 yards, 2 tutties. I mean, he outscored Aaron Jones, only 10 carries in this one. I guess that was because they were up.
He had 94 yards off of those 10 carries, though, so it wasn't like he wasn't gashing people. You know what I mean? So they both produced. But we expected, the one thing I did expect, Chef, was that number. I said if Aaron Rodgers isn't going to have the amount of opportunities to put up a lot of fantasy points, because I said he's going to get like 20, 25 pass attempts. He's not going to throw the ball 30, 40 times in the snow. And sure enough, he goes out there and throws it 21 out of 25, but 4 touchdowns and 3 of them to Devontae Adams, who's like everybody's talking today. I know we all get the same idea, like, he's the wide receiver 1. He's the best wide receiver in football. Like, hold up. Julio's injured. Give DeAndre Hopkins a year to get right with Kyler. Let's see what happens. Like, let's not go nuts. You know what I mean? But he's up there. He's in the conversation, and he's had a monster season, and I won't take anything away from him in that way. But I'm not ready to call him the wide receiver 1 in all of the NFL right now.
He's creeping.
Yeah, there's a guy in New Orleans that wants a word. Let him get right.
Oh, man. How does
I think Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams is the wide receiver 1. Definitely.
I don't know. I don't think you would trade D-Hop for him right now.
Oh man.
You know, are you trading Tyreek? Are you trading D-Hop? Are you trading?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because those are quarterbacks those are mobile quarterbacks, and you're going to lose a lot of fantasy points because of the rushing. So yeah, I don't see Aaron Rodgers slowing down. His accuracy is through the roof, and I think him and Devontae Adams are on a special level, and I think that's going to continue.
I mean, in Dynasty, maybe not, because we don't know how long Rodgers is going to be around the league.
Dynasty,
he has 1 year left on his contract, I believe.
That's what I mean. Yeah, Dynasty-wise, I don't know.
That's something to think about on that side of things.
That's a different story.
Yeah. Sorry, the brain's already transitioned into Dynasty, boys.
No, I know.
You know what I mean? It's almost.
I'm keeping it for the guys in the chat. One of my favorites.
I'm there too. My head's in there too, and Chef's on the clock right now, so he's doing his best to reel it in too, but he's already drafting.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about my my draft right now. I want to say what's up to Mini Jordan.
Mini Jordan. What's up,
Mini Jordan?
What's going on? Mini Jordan needs 70 points from Josh Allen and Diggs tonight.
Yeah, cross your fingers, bud.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed.
It's tough. Maybe you have bonuses. You get a couple big plays, maybe some broken plays, something deep to Diggs, or maybe Allen runs a couple in, because he did run one in last time he played against the Patriots. He had 10 carries for 23 yards. He did score a touchdown that way. He didn't throw for one, but he did run one in. So
we're about to get to that game. We'll just wrap up the Titans real fast. Henry didn't do too much. First time under 100 yards in a while. AJ Brown was pitiful, 8.3 fantasy points. Jonnu Smith, nice little shot, 12 fantasy points. But
he scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he got the touchdown. That was it. 3 for 30 on 7 targets. Not much to write home about. Titans at Texans next week. They should be able to bounce back. Packers versus the Bears. I think that's going to be a good game to watch.
It is. Yes, it is.
And then here we are, Monday Night Football, and we're about to kick off. I think we're about 7 minutes away. So let's get this one in the bag there, gentlemen.
Hey, Chef, I want to take a quick little victory lap. Anybody see Corey Davis? We're still looking for Corey Davis. APB? Anybody? Because he was MIA last night, dude.
Without a pulse.
Where was Corey Davis? Yeah.
That's
Davis.
We said yesterday, fade him. He's been doing great. He had a decent little season, but yesterday I said, man, Jair Alexander makes people go away.
Yeah. He had 2 targets, and he caught none of them.
Put him in his pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
It scares me when you say that. When it's like Jair Alexander makes people go away. Like, that's scary. That's like you could make a horror movie. Like, don't look in the mirror and say Jair Alexander 3 times, because Jair Alexander makes people go away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were talking about Josh Allen. Now, New England's 3rd up against the quarterback, allowing only 15.5 fantasy points per game, and good against the wide receivers. What do you guys expect out of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs this week?
You mean in 7 minutes? I expect
in 3 minutes. We still have to do outros.
Oh, man, look, Belichick. You can't ever discount Belichick. You can't. He finds a way. At the same time, Josh Allen has been finding a way. And there is something special about Josh Allen that you see. You see glimpses of that in Patrick Mahomes. There's like the way that he throws on the run, like the way that he makes things happen when seemingly there shouldn't be. And Stephon Diggs is a big part of that too. So, Mini Jordan needing 70 points from Josh Allen and Diggs. The thing is that's not one of those. That's completely out of the question. Sorry, it's over. This is one of the. I'm watching every snap because it could absolutely happen. What are you thinking?
I think it has to do with how well Cam Newton can play tonight and how much they can run against Buffalo's rush defense.
There's no Stephon Gilmore in Pitt.
Yeah, well, I mean, that helps. No Stephon Gilmore helps the situation, but we have to remember, for a fantasy wide receiver and quarterback to have high scoring points in a week, the other side of the ball really has to be playing. And if the Patriots don't, and they stop the run game from the Patriots, it's not going to be happening. It's going to be one-sided. You're going to see those fantasy numbers go down. Josh Allen, they don't need to win this game. They could pull him at any point, which is kind of scary.
Chef, I mean, I can understand that you can pull them, but you have Miami coming in next week. And if you slide too far down and you're not the 2, you're not the 3, and then you end up being the 4 seed, like your reward later on becomes you face the Chiefs in round 2. Like, good luck with that. Like, you want to be able to be one of those top seeds. If you're the 2 and the 3 seed, you can avoid the Chiefs in round 2 in the playoffs. And I know that's thinking way too far ahead and everybody takes football 1 week at a time. But if you're a team, you want to win this game. So just in case you want to rest your people and give yourself a bye week next week against Miami, you want to lock up the 2 or the 3 seed. Like, you want to try to get that sewn up.
Keep your foot on the throat.
Yeah, man. You don't want to drop too far back where you could end up facing those Chiefs in the second round of the playoffs, who already beat them this year. But like, I don't want to be a pessimist to Mini Jordan. Like, I hope you get your points, but again, 154 and an interception, 10 carries for 23 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground was what Josh Allen did last time they played. Why? Because Devin Singletary had 86 rushing, Zach Moss had 81 rushing and 2 touchdowns. They're going to want to run that ball, control the clock, and win the game. And their defense is playing so much better now, and Cam is playing so much worse now that I just see this game as one of the. It could be really ugly in favor of the Bills early, ugly 23-6, like something where it's just, they win and get in and get out. And Josh Allen doesn't, like the chef said, Josh Allen may not need to throw for 300. Unless we see some turnovers, special teams gaffes, anything like that, I don't expect this game to be close.
And that's how you beat the Patriots. You beat the Patriots by running the ball. So why wouldn't they do that? I mean, I think unless Josh Allen falls in the end zone 3 times at the goal line, which is very plausible.
It is plausible, yes, sir.
It's possible. So, I hope it works out for you, Mini Jordan.
Me too.
But I just don't know. I just don't know if it's going to happen today for you, unfortunately.
Anything else we want to speak on?
No. We get some guys are starting to sign out here. Shout out to Antonio.
Enjoy the game,
guys. Enjoy the game. Good luck tonight if you're still in it.
Yep.
And thank you for joining us. Antonio's going to come see us Sunday though for his son's tilt, so that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's gonna be good.
Let's wrap it up.
Cool. I'll wrap it up. Shout out to everybody who came in today. Congratulations on making it to week 16. And if you didn't and you're still here, that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming back. Big Greens, I think I'm just going to leave this here from now on because I kind of like what it's doing. It
fills the room. It fills your you
I
should
love
get
that.
it on the other side too.
It's a real
living in
plant.
the greens.
So yeah, it's a real plant. I like having plants. I like having, one day I'll have a nice fish tank, put something cool in it, but it really makes the ambiance lock in. Feels good for Monday Night Football. We're going to see you guys on Wednesday. We're going to do another show. Week 17 implications are out there, myself included. So we are not done. We're keeping our foot on the throat. We got some stuff to wrap up for you. Chef's going to
tell you who to start, tell you who to sit.
He's going to do waiver wire heroes on. Yep. We're going to be there for you. You can always hit us up on Twitter at The Tilt Is Real. If you have any start sit questions, anything you want to know, anything you're tilting on, we'll be there for you. And you can find me on Twitter at FFJawn, JAWN Swanson. As always, appreciate the love. Thank you guys for coming in. And we'll see you on Wednesday. Good luck tonight. Speak on, Juan.
Indeed. I love it. Mr. Swanson always so eloquently goes out and takes us home. You can find me at FF One of a Kind on Twitter, and you can definitely find us on Wednesday. We're going to be doing our podcast Wednesday night. We'll do the live taping, and we'll help you with your questions at some point during the show. We should have a jam-packed show for you because it is the final week, maybe some awards and some things of that nature.
That's the week after. The award show will be after.
All right, the week after. All right, so we'll do a normal tilt on Wednesday. And you can find the chef tomorrow. I'm sure he'll tell you about his show, but we'll see you Wednesday. Thursday nights, I do a show with Chase Vernon and Dave Kluge. Shout out to those guys from FF Intervention for tuning in tonight and coming in and check out our show at joinourcircle_family. So, we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Good luck tonight, everybody who's got everyone going. I hope the numbers, lie and they work out in your favor and you get your results that you need because it's a big one. And good luck, everybody. Get your championships.
Yeah, like Juan said, good luck to everyone. You could check out me tomorrow breaking down the waivers on the Tilting Waiver Show for Fantasy Intervention at joinourcircle_ on Twitter. Check out YouTube at Fantasy Intervention. And yeah, that about wraps it up. Oh, I'm calling first touchdown because we're just kicking off now. First touchdown, Zach Moss.
Isaiah McKenzie.
Dante Moncrief.
Oh, hey. Yeah, we all got some nice deep shots there. I like it.
Yeah, I'll take a deep shot. Why not?
Why not?
All right, guys, from all of us at The Tilt is Real, thanks for tuning in. Like Juan said, Mr. Swanson said, we'll check you out on Wednesday. You can find me at FF_chef. We're out. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to The Tilt is Real Fantasy Podcast. Like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Check out our website at thetiltisreal.com for more great fantasy football content. We'll catch you guys next time on The Tilt is Real.